It's the Trash Player League. Let's get it. Hello and good evening. Welcome to FLCN as we present to you the Trash Player League Week 2 of the playoffs. We are in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, or at least they have just passed. We are now about to go into the championship. And look, I have a co-host. Would you imagine that? It's not just me this time. I can bounce some of the crazy things that I say off of someone else. So that's awesome. How you doing there, Shawn?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. Been a hectic fucking month, but I'm here, you know what I'm saying? Fresh off of 2 dubs versus Tobias, sorry ass. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can imagine who I'm rooting for or who I'm rooting against. But you know what? I'll save that conversation for later.
Well, you know, Tobias, it's funny that you say that because Tobias actually somehow made it to the Super Bowl.
Don't say somehow. We know how he got there. That motherfucker had a bye week that saved his ass. That's how he got there, Mark. You know what I'm saying? No, let's not sugarcoat that shit. That motherfucker had, you know what? But I guess you could say he earned his bye week. You know, kudos to him. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had a little help trying to keep him out of that motherfucker. But, you know, all I could do is beat him twice. That's it. So.
Oh, you say that you did your part, but nobody else did. I
mean, I did my part. You know what I'm saying? You know, did my best to hold the young brother down. You know, to stop him from greatness. But you know, nobody else wanted to hate on him with me. You know what I'm saying? So
hey, man, listen, I was right there with you all the way up until essentially AB going down was my downfall for everything, and AB going down was his rise because AB went down. Chris Godwin goes off, he's going off more now than Mike Evans, and that whole little trio that he had became the most consistent thing possible. And then, what's funny is I put a little layup out there in the free agency. Because I was like, look, man, I'm not going to the playoffs. Antonio Brown is still on my roster, but I'm trying to win games right now, and he's suspended. And I know I'm not going to the playoffs. So him coming back in the future doesn't really mean nothing to me. So I dropped him. I was like, I wanted to see, and I was like, we'll see who gets him. I threw a little layup out there, and he ain't pick up on the layup. And it was funny. What's funny about that, I did it after Chris Godwin went down. He needed wide receivers and he wasn't checking the waiver wire. But yet somehow he's there and I'm not. But it's all good, I guess. It is what it is, you know what I mean? I'm not going to wish him luck, but I'm not going to wish bad upon him neither, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't going to hate on you, but I ain't going to wish well on you neither.
Well, speak for yourself, Mark. Speak for yourself. I am a hater. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna talk about this when we get to these matchups, man. We really gonna talk about it. So I'm gonna show them just how much of a fucking hater I am.
You saying you getting your hate up, not your weight up? All right. I don't think that's how Jay-Z said it, but all right.
Yeah, it's too late for me to get my weight up. That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. Ain't nothing to do but hate from now on. So,
all right. So, at least you got your energy in order. You know what's up. But anyway, like I said, quarterfinals is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are going into the championship of the Trash Player League. Without further ado, let's get into the 3 and out. All right. Here we are. We have the scores right here from week 16, the quarterfinals of the playoffs. Labarticus Prime defeats Indianimals. On 4 of them went down, and they took a heavy loss because Labarticus Prime this may be his highest point total on the season, and he had it against Indianimals in the playoffs. Big Trust defeats FTW in convincing fashion. FTW team has shat the bid this week, as you can see here. In the consolation bracket, we're going to go over here. We're going to Fuck the Fantasy Football Gods continues to have a season worth saying fuck the Fantasy Football Gods. He takes a L here despite defeating I Love Cam Newton twice in the regular season. He loses to him in the consolation bracket. Your player got hurt.
I just want to point out, I mean, 125 is higher than 94, 105, 100, 86, 94. Yeah, you know what? You played the one dude that decided to get up for this game. One of the two people that decided to get up for it. So,
hey, mind you, I don't know if anybody looks at the points for, but that has been the story of my season. So, like, that's not new.
I'm just saying, dog. Hey, maybe the way you've been talking to people, maybe you rubbed some people the wrong way. Maybe you rubbed them the wrong way enough to where everybody got up to play you, Mark. That's all I'm saying. It seems like that's what happened. They got their team motivated, said, you know what? Let's take this asshole down. That's what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying? You put out that bad energy, and that shit came right back at you, Mark.
Okay, so what happened to you, though?
Oh, I was praying to the football gods. I was
you was praying to the football gods, but last time I checked, your energy was wild crazy. I don't get what you're talking about.
No. Hey, real quick. Hey, the second I started talking shit, I lost the game, Mark. I was on a winning streak, and the second I came back in there, I was telling Sharice to kick rocks. She ain't even sniffed the playoffs. I was talking crazy to her. I started talking crazy. I came in there, I said some things to a couple people, and then that very week I lost, Mark. That's what happened. I should have just kept the humble route. You know what I'm saying? Pray to the fantasy football gods. You know, they obviously were not pleased with my behavior. So that's what happened, Mark. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, maybe if you were a nicer guy, maybe things like this wouldn't happen to you.
Well, stop it. Well, first of all, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. We already know this. But second of all, the thing about that is if Floyd Mayweather is allowed to continue winning, if 50 Cent is allowed to continue winning, then I'm good. I'm good out here.
No. You didn't get you got the trash talking package. You didn't get the sell your soul package, Mark. You got to sell your soul to get on like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to sell your soul to be able to duck the bad karma, dog. You did not know. 50 Cent. You got to get shot 9 times for that, Mark. You ain't get shot 9 times, so.
Oh, okay. I see. I see. I messed up.
You gotta get shot 9 times or be illiterate. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's. I'm just saying, dog.
So you saying I have to have a flaw somewhere so it can level off?
Hey, far as I know, you can read. So, and I know you ain't been shot 9 times. So I mean, you just gotta talk it up.
I guess so. Well, anyway, like I was saying, your player got hurt, scored, defeats We Not from 750. We'll get into that score in a minute. Boom or bust, loses to Raw Dog, and Corey's championship team takes a L to Reese's Buttercup team. Excuse me. And so, without further ado, let's get into this championship bracket here. Right here, we have Big Trust versus FTW. Big Trust scores 133.68 to FTW's 85.58. So right away, we see here T. Higgins, excuse me. T. Higgins goes off for 43 points this week. T. Higgins gets 12 receptions, 194 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. In a spot where Big Trust had to start T. Higgins, T. Higgins comes up huge. Big Trust has left T. Higgins riding the pine majority of this season, and sometimes to his detriment. And T. Higgins he had to start him. T. Higgins comes alive in the best way possible. This is by far the biggest point total that he's had all season, and it's just definitely career high marks for him for receptions in yards in the game. And so shout out to Big Trust for getting that production from T. Higgins. And next we're going to look at Mark Andrews, who has been doing great as of late. He had 8 receptions, 125 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. And also we have an appearance from Devonta Smith, who had 80 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdowns on just 5 receptions. This was a huge day for Big Trust when we're talking about the wide receiver core. And that goes directly against what happened on the other side of the ball with FTW. FTW did not have Brandon Cooks this week, who has been his best receiver on the season. And shout out to our other co-host, Ricky, because Ricky would say that Brandon Cooks got AIDS, and that's why he was unavailable.
You did say that.
So no Brandon Cooks, but he did have Michael Pittman, who did okay, but when the other guy gets 43, that's not enough. Brandon Ayuk got 14, but when another receiver gets 26, or when the tight end is getting 26 and then another receiver is getting 19, that's just not enough. And even Marvin Jones has come in on the act with 15.40, but it's not enough. And FTW started Matthew Stafford, and as you can see here, that was a bad start. Matthew Stafford is doing what Matthew Stafford does, which is become a bum towards the end of the season. And that's just what it is. So Matthew Stafford wasn't a good start. I said as much in the last episode. I said that he should probably think about switching to Jalen Hurts. Not that it would have made a terrible amount of difference, but it would have been way better than Matthew Stafford. And last point is that FTW just didn't get anything from his running backs this week. Both of them score only 7 points. Is there anything that you would like to say, Shawn, before we look at the bench?
Yeah, of course I would like to say some shit, man. Let me tell you something, man. Tobias hasn't been lucky all year. I'll give him that. He's been fortunate, but he hasn't been lucky. This week, he was lucky, Mark. FTW, if I'm not mistaken, this is the lowest point total that he's ever put up. Matter of fact, I don't even remember any times that he's put up anything below 100 points. I mean, I'm sure he probably had like a 94-point game somewhere. But yeah, this is his lowest point total of the season. And this is when he gets them in the playoffs, you know? So that's a fortunate thing to run into. Not that it mattered. He put up a bunch of points. T. Higgins hasn't put up 40 all year.
Nor was he expected to.
He wasn't expected to. And then you have Devonta Smith, who has been mundane, to say the least.
Mundane is the proper word.
Mundane is. I'm thinking of being nice by saying mundane.
No, mundane's the proper word.
Yeah, all year long, and this has to be his highest point total, 19 points. So he gets career nights from T. Higgins and Devonta Smith at the same time. You know, and I can't say anything about Mark Andrews. He did what he does.
No, he said his highest point total is 22.
Okay, he's had that twice. Okay, I see that.
He had it twice.
Okay, so I'm a little bit off, but let's just say that there probably was a better chance of him getting 5 points from Devontae Smith than getting 15 to 19. And somehow he got 19. He just happened to catch him on the right week. He got 19 out of it. I mean, I'm not going to say that too much because they did play the Giants. But yeah, T. Higgins going completely apeshit, against, what was it, Baltimore?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, nobody predicted that. Nobody predicted that, Joe Burrow was going to come in there and throw for 500 yards. The shit just happened. So he not only did he, it literally, these guys stepped up right in the moment where they needed to for Big Trust to win. He literally had no options other than these people, and he plugged them in, and they all performed. They didn't just perform, they overperformed. I mean, Mooney, what does he give him? 10 points there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen Mooney have games where he didn't even give him 10 points. So, I mean, I feel like he got a pretty solid performance out of the replacements. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Shout out to Tobias for patch work.
Here's my question to you. You say if I was a little bit nicer or whatever, explain Tobias. Explain it.
What I think this is, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you. I'll explain this. He's arrogant, right? He took 2 L's to me. Now Tobias probably thinks that his debts are paid right now. He's gonna get blown out in the championship game. Mark my words, Mark. You know why he's gonna get blown out? Because he's not humble. That's why he's gonna get blown out, Mark. So yes, although you say, what about Tobias? What about Tobias? He lost twice to me, Mark. Is that not punishment enough? You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. I don't think it's punishment enough. I think he's gonna show up to the championship game and it's gonna be a dud, Mark. I'm telling you.
I don't think anything. I don't think anything.
Oh, you don't think anything now? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Mark, are you done, Mark? You just done? You done?
No. This is it's a real rap thing. I don't think anything because anything can happen. Honestly, I don't. So I really don't think anything. But we will look at it on paper to see what it's going to look at. But right now, let's go into the bench, see if anything could have changed FTW's fate. Absolutely not. He would have gotten a lot more points from Jalen Hurts, but we've already talked about that. But other than that, no, nothing would have changed their fate. It is what it is. Big Trust started all the right people, at least all the people that was going to give them production, and FTW did not. Big Trust needs to figure out something other than Saquon Barkley for this fucking championship game. No, Saquon Barkley isn't it, and you've been holding on to this name, but that's all he is a name. He's not.
You say that he's been holding on to it. What is the alternative, Mark? There are no running backs on the waiver wire right now. James Conner, I guess, but Chase Edmonds is back. So, you've seen Chase Edmonds had a better performance this week than James Conner did.
That's because James Conner didn't even play.
Oh, he didn't? Oh, never mind. So there you go.
Matt, you got to knock the rust off, brother.
Oh, no. I'm looking at this on the phone screen, and the letters are about this big. Everything is this big. I can't see.
Right. James Conner didn't even play. But I'm just saying, I don't know, man.
I mean, honestly, but still, the point still remains.
Jordan Howard.
You would start
Austin
Jordan
Scott.
Howard over.
Yes,
you would start Jordan Howard over Saquon Barkley.
Yes, you fucking right. The Eagles have listen. Stop. The Eagles have by far they have by far the best rushing attack in the NFL right now. That's just period. They're like number 1 as far as rushing attack. And then 2 is that they have a consistency between their running backs, and they have a nice rotation, and they're all getting some shine. Jordan Howard is getting the ball despite Miles Sanders being there. And now that Miles Sanders is out because of his broken hand, Boston Scott should be a person that Big Trust should be looking at.
Look, I understand what you're saying, but let's
Jordan Howard.
Let's be real. Jordan Howard, yes, he has seen more touches since Miles Sanders has been out, and he's been seeing.
Miles Sanders is only out this week, but since he went out the first time, yeah.
Since he went out the first time is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jordan Howard has been getting touches since then.
Yes.
Now, here's the deal with it though. Jordan Howard is still a touchdown dependent running back.
It doesn't matter. He's still better than Saquon Barkley on this year. I guarantee you that.
Look, that's fine, but to me, Saquon giving you what he gave you, Jordan Howard could very well give you the same damn numbers.
He could have given you that, but you're talking about the potential for what they can for the ceiling, and Saquon's ceiling is super low versus what Jordan Howard's ceiling is.
All I'm going to tell you, Mark,
and Jordan Howard's what's crazy is Jordan Howard's ceiling isn't even that high. That just lets you know how bad it is for Saquon right now.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I'll say this. If there's anybody on that Giants roster that's going to get a touchdown with Mike Glennon at quarterback, it's
Devontae Booker.
All right, fine, whatever. I think it's Saquon, but that's fine. You go with that,
Okay.
Saquon, mind you, I'm going to just throw this out here, and this is going to be very embarrassing, but Saquon Barkley leads the Giants in total touchdowns on the season, Mark.
I get that.
And I want to let you know.
And listen, look, he hasn't had terrible. He's had games. He's had some games, but I'm not taking this risk with him. I'm not taking this risk with him. That's not happening, dog.
Look,
3, 9, and then he had 18 randomly against the Chargers, but the Chargers have been so butt on defense that, I guess. And then 13 against Miami, 11 there. I'm not messing with it.
All right. Well, let's. How about this? How about we just stop arguing for the sake of he's trying to decide whether he's going to try to buy something that costs $1 with a penny or 3 pennies, Mark.
Yeah.
Either way, having Jordan Howard in the lineup and having Saquon Barkley and Howard is still Barkley in the lineup is still a problem.
Maybe I'm going a little bit too far with Jordan Howard. But my point being is that he should have other considerations available to him.
Look, if James Conner missed the game, what you want him to do?
I want him to have other considerations available to him.
Do you think he wouldn't have started James Conner over Saquon Barkley? Is that
no, I know he would have. My point being is that my thing is why, what are we doing? You have Latavius Murray on your team. For what? Get rid of him. Put Boston Scott on your roster. Put Jordan Howard on your roster. Put some other running back that has a potential to produce for you on your roster, so you don't have to go with somebody like Saquon in these games.
Man, I'm just telling you're pinching pennies and trying to make up $50 worth of.
No, it's not. But it is.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Listen. He's in a Super Bowl. I'm not. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Man, he ain't gonna do shit anyway, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right. Moving on though, we got Labarticus Prime versus Indianapolis. Labarticus Prime absolutely devastates Indianapolis to the tune of 187.04 to 127.42. This is a rivalry matchup in which they have went back and forth on the season. Indianapolis won the first one. Labarticus Prime won the second one. And then Labarticus Prime followed up with the haymaker to knock him out of the playoffs for the final time in the third matchup. This rivalry matchup just kept going, and and now Indianapolis has more reason to hate Labarcus Prime. So, looking at it here, we're going to just go. I want to say Labarcus Prime is hands down one of the deepest teams in the league. And one of the reasons why he's allowed to be one of the deepest teams in the league is because other teams have been scared of the waiver wire and have not utilized it at all. And whereas Labarcus Prime has been utilizing the waiver wire and the IR system like a weapon. And that's exactly what he did here, because as we go into my first point is that he started Justin Jackson this week, who scored 34.20 points. The reason why he was able to do that is because he was allowed to handcuff him to his bench. And with Austin Eckler being out. So when Labarcus Prime lost Austin Eckler, it didn't mean nothing to him. It was next man up. Jackson, get in there. And Jackson got in there and showed out. 2 touchdowns, 98 receiving yards on 8 receptions. And this is a running back. And they got his receiving stats up first. So that's one reason right there. Chase Edmonds shows up today. 8 receptions, 71 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Like, I don't know what to say here, man. Maybe you should take it over, because this is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of production he's getting from his guys. I mean, look at Dallas defense, man.
Well, this is what I'll say, man. And I'm gonna take this moment to give coaches flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? I usually wouldn't, but Mark, you mentioned something in the beginning. You said he's got the deepest roster in the league. I said, when we had our initial episode, I asked you the question of who do you think has the best team, top to bottom, overall. In I don't remember what your answer was, but for me, my answer was Coach. That's what I thought at the beginning of the system, at the beginning of the season. His team, as of maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, was better than the team that he had at the start of the season, as far as depth and players that he could start. So, and he got there, as you said, by the waiver wire. He was a sniper with it, in the sense of he would pick guys up when he needed to, still managed to hold out long enough to become one of the top waiver wires, as far as being the first, second, or third waiver wire in a waiver wire order, and then he would snipe again, Mark. He was very strategic about how he was going about playing the waiver wire. And maybe there's a few people in this league that could take some lessons. But so shout out to Coach for doing that. And no, don't think I forgot. You were getting lucky in the beginning of the season.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
That didn't happen. But once we got to these last like 6 or 7 games, I'll be honest, man. He's just been putting out good product out on the field. Yeah. And it's been showing up for him, and his hard work started to pay off. So
yeah, it shifted from luck to actually being like, it shifted from luck to actually being what he was doing on the field towards the middle and end of the season. I would say one of his biggest pickups on this season was Mike Kaseki. Mike Kaseki, as of late, has been a little bit on a down end, but let's look at it here. See, he picks up Mike Kaseki around week 3, and then he just gets production. 18 points, 16 points, 19, 21, and now we start to see it started to trail off. But right there where he picked him up, he had 5 straight weeks of just getting awesome production.
And I will mention the fact that it helped him out because he had Logan Thomas that went down during that stretch. So that did help him. So
yes. And I never believed in Logan Thomas in the first place. But this is what we were talking about, is that he played the waiver wire in situations that made his team stronger and not weaker.
Yeah, and I'll say he made a lot of moves that he needed to make, and that were the right moves every time. So Like I said, kudos to coach. But in this particular matchup, I mean, what can you do? He had COVID strikes and he had all the right backups. So, and I'll be honest with you, him playing Dallas defense. Now, I don't think this is an accident, Mark. I pay attention to these things, and once Dallas had defensive linemen coming back off of injury, coach knows that team. He knew that their pass rush was going to be different once those guys showed up. That's the moment when he started starting them every week. And it seems like him paying attention, him being a homer, so to speak, or just him being a fan of the team actually paid off for him because, I mean, nobody was fighting him to pick up Dallas defense. Nobody was going to fight him if they were on the waiver wire, you know? Nobody was scared of Dallas defense going into these matchups. And then what happens? They're out here putting up 20-point weeks multiple times. So, no, kudos to him for doing his homework and figuring that out. But, I mean, that's all the praise I got for Coach right now. But,
yeah, I mean, you can't crown him yet because he hasn't won yet. But, I mean, he's done what he needed to do throughout the season. And, he's pressed all the right buttons in the middle of the season.
Well, listen,
it's worked out.
I was going to say, let's just scroll back up. I want to talk about whose team is this? Who is this?
And the Animals and
the Animals. I just wanted to make sure I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say Darius, but all right, just making sure. I mean, I can't tell. He starts so many different quarterbacks this year. I don't know whose team it is, but yes. But with that said, I don't know what to tell you other than the wheels fell off of this train right towards the end of the season for him. He was already looking shaky, and he kind of backed into the playoffs, and this is the result of it. Having Tua as his quarterback has been killing him in these past few weeks, and this is just another game where it hurts. Hunter Henry, go ahead.
No, Hunter Henry just last week had 25 points.
Yeah. Him putting up a dud this week is crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have started you have to know that for a player like Hunter Henry, 25 points is an outlier. You cannot follow up the next week with him. You have to go with another guy because that's not happening again.
Well, let's just be real, man. Like, I mean, I made some mistakes in my lineup last week, and his guys performed exactly the way they needed to perform to beat me by a small margin, okay? The good Lord giveth, and the good Lord taketh away, Mark. The football gods let them have one, and now they got to restore balance.
Oh, well, stop. I'm not going to let you do that. The football gods didn't let them have shit. You did. What? You had like 70 points on your bench. Like that's not a football god thing. That's you.
I said I made some mistakes.
But don't put it on the blessings of a football guy.
No, I still do, because even though I made mistakes, I still should have won that game.
You had 70 points on your bench, dog.
Hey, Mark,
you had 12 points on your bench.
In what world does Hunter Henry give you 25 points on the Patriots?
In what world do you have 70 points on your bench?
Hey, in what world, Mark, do I have single-digit scores from every single starter except for 2?
In the world that you have 70 points on your bench?
Look, here's my question. In what world does St. Brown and Russell Gage both go up for 25 in the same week? When does that happen? Russell Gage has not put up 25 all year. He puts up 25. I'm not going to say
Russell Gage he has been trending upwards on the season. In fact, you knew that going into the matchup because you and I had a conversation.
Yes. Now with that said, Mark, yes, that's true. Look, this whole time I want to repeat again. I made some mistakes, but let's be honest. Even with the mistakes, I expected them to be 15-point, 18-point mistakes with those two players. St. Brown had 20 points in the first half of the game, Mark. Let's be very clear. It was an abnormal output for both sides. He got 25 from Hunter Henry. I got 25 from St. Brown and from Russell Gage. It was a very weird week. It was, but honestly, I made mistakes. But coming towards the end, him getting 25 from Hunter Henry really was the difference outside of my mistakes.
Okay.
But neither here nor there. That's last week. What I'm talking about is this week. Like you said, he can't expect to get 25 from Hunter Henry. Balance has to be restored. Hunter Henry gives him a point. I'm just saying, balance is restored. That's the way this works, Mark. So, I mean, it's really unfortunate that he got a 7-point game from Keenan Allen.
Yeah, that's the biggest
that's the outlier.
The outlier is Keenan Allen. I mean, it's not much you could do when Labarcus Prime gets 187. And I do want to point out that this is the second time on the season that Labarcus Prime started a defense that got over 20, that got 25 or more.
But the other time was with Dallas defense as well, Mark.
No, it wasn't. It was with New England.
Oh, it was New England. But I feel like he's gotten close to 20 with Dallas defense. Look at Dallas defense real quick. I know this ain't the only big game they've given them.
Yeah, no, it's not. They had 23 the other week and 24.
Okay, so they got 23.
But I said over 20, but I was specific to over 25 because I know New England got the third. They got 30.
I'm just saying because Dallas defense has been showing out since he got it, since he's got them. So so I'm saying like he's definitely been getting. So that's what 4 weeks of defensive performances for coach.
Yeah, wild defensive performances. And but yeah, man, it's unfortunate for Indy Animals here because he had Antonio Brown who got 10 receptions and 101 yards. Like he's gotten performances from some guys. You had Nick Chubb who gives you 27, but even though Nick Chubb gave him 27, Jackson, who's from the bench, gave Labarcus Prime 34. Madison, who gave 16, but Edmonds, who's off the injury, gave 26. Like, it is what it is. There's not much you could do here. Indy Animals likes to say the game's going to be the game. And well, sir, the game was the game, and you lost. Okay.
Well, are we looking at the bench or are we moving on?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to look at the bench. Let's look at the bench to see if anything would have changed their fate. And as we can see, nothing at all would have changed the fate here. He did get 131 yards from Sony Michel, which ended up being 20 points here. But from all the positions, he got solid production except for Keenan Allen. And am I starting Sony Michel over Keenan Allen? No. So it is what it is, man. You just got to deal with that and eat that one.
Yeah.
And on the other side here, you have Rashad Penny who had 19.50 points this week. This is the second time.
He was looking good in that game, man. I'm not gonna lie.
And this is the second time he's done that this season.
He's been
in as many weeks. Season. Rashad Penny against Houston had 26 points, then puts up 6 against the Rams, which you should expect that to happen, and then 19 against Chicago.
Yeah, so that's an unpredictable situation. I wouldn't have started Rashad Penny.
No, but he didn't need to.
It doesn't matter.
Neither here nor there.
No, it's not. Yeah. Oh, before we move on to the next one, we just went over Big Trust game. We just went over Labarcus Prime's game. I'm gonna tell you right now, Mark. I don't want neither one of these dudes to win. Can we get a championship game that ends in a tie? That would just make my day, Mark. I really don't like either of these motherfuckers. But you know what? I guess there has to be a winner. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. That's how I really feel. You said you're not wishing anybody luck. I'm not either, Mark. I'm hoping that these dudes end in a tie. An ugly, disgusting tie. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I don't hope for that. I don't hope for anything. Hey, man, I'm not going to hope against anyone to get their money.
This week you want to play it straight. Okay.
What do you mean? I play it straight every week. I don't.
You was like, you came another week. You was like, man. So I'm one of those teams that didn't make the playoffs. I'm not gonna talk shit. Psych! You thought I wasn't gonna talk shit, and now you're like, look, I'm neutral. I'm just
no, because I'm still talking shit. Like Indiana was lost. Like what I mean. It is what it is. I'm still talking shit. I'm just not the type to put it out there. Like I hope. Like if it has nothing to do with me. I'm not hoping on your loss if it has nothing to do with me. I only care if you lose if it benefits me. If it doesn't benefit me or hurt me, I don't have a dog in your fight. Like so it is what it is.
Well, I just want to see karma come out on top. That's all I want. I want balance to be restored. And for all the lucky times that Coach had, I need him to be unlucky and end this in a tie. And then I need all of Tobias's bad negative energy he's been putting out. I need that shit to come back on the mark. The only way for both of those things to be satisfied is for the shit to end in a tie.
Hey, listen, man.
Maybe it's petty. Maybe it's not. I don't know, Mark.
Like I said, that's just not my bag. That's just
it's
not
my bag this week. So
my bag of talking shit is very unique, and I don't do that. But anyway, man, we gonna move on and talk about this consolation bracket. Fuck the fantasy football guys loses to I Love Cam Newton. Like I said before, fuck the fantasy football guys. Myself has defeated I Love Cam Newton twice in the regular season. So of course, if you beat them twice already, the third time is very unlikely. So I Love Cam Newton takes the victory here. And not only does he take the victory, but he scores high. Dak Prescott has a field day against Washington. Meanwhile, on the other side, Kyler Murray comes up a little bit short. He only has one passing touchdown, no rushing touchdown, and that's essentially what makes him end up with only 23 points here on the day. And Cooper Kupp does what Cooper Kupp does, 10 receptions, 109 yards to the tune of 21.30 points. Let me ask you, bro, how much does it piss you off? How much would it piss you off to have the best fantasy football player on the season on your team and you not make the playoffs?
To be honest with you, man, that shit would have me really questioning how I drafted or what did I do wrong, Mark? And it's not even crazy. Like, let's forget about Cooper Kupp, even though he's the best fantasy person. If you told me I have Cooper Kupp, Dak Prescott this season on one team, and you tell me that I still can't manage to make the playoffs, I would be trying to figure out where I went wrong, Mark. That's what I'll tell you. I'd be trying to figure it out because I feel like having Dak Prescott and Cooper Kupp this season should be enough to get you to the playoffs.
Absolutely. It should have been, but it wasn't. I could tell you one area where I Love Cam Newton went wrong, though. I can tell you right now, it's sticking with this motherfucker right here. Like sticking with Odell Beckham has hurt this man so much this season. Like he hoped against hope for Odell to be something. Odell went to the Rams and Robert Woods getting hurt, he ended up being something. But I wonder if he would have been anything if Robert Woods was healthy.
No, he wouldn't have. But Mark, let's be honest. Like, out of everything that you've seen with Odell with the Browns prior to this season, is there any reason why you would have thought that he would have had a great season this year?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So I don't know.
But listen, you and I have discussed these things. And for those that are out there that are watching, the fellas, we will be doing a draft recap episode where we'll be going over we will be rewatching our draft commentary and just seeing what we got right for our early predictions and what we got wrong and talking about our picks. But anyway, because that Odell Beckham was the thing that we mentioned then, I believe. So, but I love Cam Newton in general. His issue had a lot to do with injuries. Dalvin Cook going down multiple times. And then Darren Waller, who he drafted so early, just ended up being a pedestrian tight end this year.
Well, Mark, this is the thing. I'll be real with you. Darren Waller has had one healthy season since he's been in the NFL, from what I understand. As far as one season, I'm not going to say just healthy. He's had one full season since he's been in the NFL. Then you have Dalvin Cook, who... Well,
that wasn't the case this year. He's only missed 2 games, and that was week 7 and week 13, which was... Oh, no, and I mean, well, he's missed every game since week 13, but prior to that, it was just week 7.
But that's also a thing is coming off of the injury also affects your play. But the point is,
listen, I don't like that because he only had one good performance all season. He only had one performance that warranted his high draft pick, and that was in week 1. Week 1, 26 points. Week 2, 11, 10, 15 is decent, but 8, 10, and then 16 is decent. 0, like he's had pedestrian regular tight end performances all season.
I'll give you that, but what I'm trying to say is this: taking Darren Waller at the beginning of the season, to me, there's certain guys that I would be concerned about. Darren Waller is not one of those guys that I would say I was 100% concerned about. But yeah, I know about his injury history, and I know that, well, nobody could predict what happened with John Gruden. Yes, right. That pick might have hurt him, but I don't think it was an absolutely horrible pick for him to take him that early. But
no, it's not. That's not a thing on Darren Waller. That is a thing on taking tight ends early. Period. That's you know what I mean. That's my thoughts on taking tight ends that early. Period. That's just I disagree. I disagree with the philosophy. I don't care who it is.
Well, so then there you go. So that's really the basis of it. It's just taking the tight end early. But I don't think it was a horrible pick. But but to be real, the Dalvin Cook thing. If you're ever going to draft Dalvin Cook, and not draft Madison is crazy to me, Mark. He's only had one complete uninjured season, which I don't even know. I won't even say uninjured. Last year he did get hurt, but he was gone for like a game or something like that. I don't understand why you would, knowing Dalvin Cook's injury history, why you wouldn't absolutely draft his backup. That's just the mistake on Charles's part, because clearly, I mean, would you draft Dalvin Cook without drafting Madison?
Absolutely not.
When I
drafted Gibson, I drafted the backup. I can't think of his name right now.
J.D. McKissick. Yeah,
there you go. So and look, James Robinson is on my team, and I've had Carlos Hyde as the backup. So
look, you certain guys you have to handcuff absolutely. And Dalvin Cook is one of those guys that you absolutely have to handcuff. There's going to be a time, even if it's just 2 or 3 games, there's going to be a time in the season where he's going to miss time and you're going to need backups.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. It's one of those things. You have to know that. So that's just a mistake, man.
Yeah, but it wasn't this week. He got the dub. Montgomery comes alive with 23 points. Dak Prescott, we already discussed. And on the flip side, for Fuck the Fantasy Football Guides, he got a great performance from Devontae Adams. And for the second time, he actually got something decent from Jamar Chase. But it wasn't enough because James Robinson goes down in the first quarter. Like, he goes down right away. Like, and so, like, you can't predict that. It is what it is. Those are just one of those days, as they say.
What about Cordell Patterson?
Cordell Patterson, don't know what happened here. I guess they just said, Cordell, you don't exist today. We don't acknowledge your existence. Or maybe, you know what I think it is? Atlanta's not competing for nothing, and Cordero has bonuses coming his way if he hits certain numbers, and they was like, nah, bruh, you're not hitting those numbers, so we not dialing up no plays for you.
I was gonna say, furthermore, I mean, there might have been a slight focus on Kyle Pitts to try to push him a little bit closer to that record, to Mike Ditka's record. For,
they need to
tight end yardage. I don't know, but
they all, you know,
I'm sure that's on their mind.
Well, one thing we do know, and we hear a lot from the sports media, is that the owner of the Atlanta Falcons is hands-on. So either one of those scenarios could be very true, because Kyle Pitts getting that record or hitting that record is attention to the team, and it's positive attention to the team for in the future of the franchise. And Cordero Patterson not hitting his contract, you know, that's also beneficial to the team. So it could be both. You know what I mean? It could. So
yeah. But, you know, I'll be honest, Mark. It's a very unfortunate week, man. You know, well, I will say this, Knox, I wasn't expecting much from the Patriots game versus, you know, right, his production versus the Patriots. I think he outperformed what I expected.
I expected about 10 points, and that's what he gave me, was 10 points.
So Patterson and Robinson production, you would have never thought they would have combined for that point total. I mean, that just is what it is. If Patterson gets his usual 25 points, then, you know, this is a whole different conversation. If James Robinson doesn't get hurt, this is a whole conversation. You might have won this game, Mark.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, injuries are what they are. Let's look at the bench, see if anything would have changed the fate. Tyler Boyd would have made this a little bit more respectable. There's actually no, not really, because there's only one person where Tyler Boyd would have fit, and that's in a flex. And Hunter Renfrow got 13 points, so it's only 4 extra points there. So even then, just did what I was supposed to. Moving on, and I want to clap it up in a Nori fashion for your player got hurt, but I'm not being sarcastic. I want to put it out there that I'm not at all being sarcastic or facetious in this clap. Like, because this is real rap. Your player got hurt has had this bugaboo all season of quarterback play. All season long, this bugaboo has been holding him back. And when he needed it so that he would not be the bottom barrel team in the league. Like, because I mean, this is literally the worst.
That's the Doodle Bowl. That's the Doodle Bowl right there.
Yeah, that's 12th place versus 11th. And he needed that, and he got it. Joe Burrow comes alive, 525, 4 passing yards. He takes 3 sacks though, but 4 passing touchdowns for 44 points. That's crazy. Like, so that's an excellent performance for your player got hurt. I know for a fact that this is the highest point total that he has scored all season. I am pretty sure that he wished that he got, I am pretty sure he wished that he got these performances earlier in the season, but he got it now. 31 points from Brown. And then he also got 31 from Mixon, who just last week shot the bed. So shout out to your player got hurt here for getting that production that he needed this week. And on the flip side here, we not from 750 has seemingly long checked out. He has kept Allen Robinson in this wide receiver slot despite not playing the last 3 games. No, the last 2. He hasn't played in the last 2, and he has kept Allen Robinson right there. I guess he doesn't put much stock into these consolation games, but it wouldn't have made much difference for him because he doesn't have any receivers in the first place. That's why he's in the position that he's in. Do you have anything to say before we look at the bench?
Not really, except for the fact that, your player got hurt. He apparently karma works differently for other people. I want to say that he's experienced the least amount of injuries, even though his name was your player got hurt. I mean, that's amazing, but he paid for it in other ways. But shout out to him for getting some quarterback play. I argued with him back and forth every week about, well, not every week, but I kind of questioned him on his belief of quarterbacks is the biggest determining factor of winning games. And sure as shit, he gets 40-something points from a quarterback and he wins his game by blowout fashion. You know what, Ricky? Maybe you was right. I'll give you.
I mean, he would have won this game. Right. He would have won this game anyway, but you know what I'm saying?
He would have won this game anyway, but 166, he would have won every game except for versus coach. Right. Let's be honest. So, okay, maybe there was some credence to what you was talking about. Go for it, man.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, looking at the bench. Nothing would have changed the fate at all. Like, look at that bench. That's horrible. But Ronald Jones is on his bench with 16 points. Jeff Wilson is also on his bench with 14. And this is a rotating thing that's going on. Ricky, this takes me back to Tobias. Look, Leonard Fournette was out. He's been out. Ricky picks up Ronald Jones. Like, there are things that Tobias could be doing in the waiver game to support himself.
I'll be really very, very upfront with you, Mark. If having all those Tampa Bay players on his team, right? I'm just gonna assume that he's been watching Tampa Bay's games this year. Him being a Tom Brady fanatic, maybe that's an exaggeration. I don't know, but that's what it sounded like to me. But him being that guy, I'm certain that he has seen how trash Ronald Jones has been, and I'm not even going to fault him for not picking up Ronald Jones in this scenario. Maybe that sounds crazy to you, but Ronald Jones has been abysmal all year long.
Listen, I get it, but when it's just Tom Brady and AB, and we've seen what the other receivers provide. We've seen it. They provide much of it.
Gronk was there.
Okay.
I'm saying, like,
no, I get it. But anyway, but
Ronald Jones did numbers.
He did 60. He got 65 yards and a rushing touchdown. He ain't do nothing crazy, but he did enough. It's just like, come on.
Well, I think his yards per average was pretty decent. It was better than he usually.
But
that's what I meant by he did numbers. For Ronald Jones, he did numbers, Mark. I'm just saying, I can't blame somebody for not picking up Ronald Jones regardless of the scenario.
All right, well,
I picked him up when he was a straight up starter, and he was giving me 6 to 8 points every week, Mark. Sometimes 4. So I can understand if you don't want to pick up Ronald Jones. I get it. I'm not even going to fault him for that.
All right, moving on to Team Boomer Bust versus Raw Dog Supreme. Team Boomer Bust goes bust this week. He scores 100 points, 0.76 to Raw Dog Supreme 105.54. Team Boomer Bust continues to get excellent performances from Josh Allen week in and week out, but it doesn't matter because, well, Tyreek Hill does what Tyreek Hill does. He kind of just disappears randomly, and that's what he did this particular week. You did decide to start St. Brown this week, and St. Brown gets 26 points here.
But the decision was easy. Mike Williams was out with COVID. So,
yeah.
He was out with a COVID protocol. So, a very easy decision this week.
George Kittle gives you 4 points this week. 4.
2 weeks in a row, Mark. 2 weeks in a row.
Well, when he gave you 45 2 weeks in a row, I guess this is just like I'm coming back down to earth.
Balance has to be restored, Mark. Balance has to be restored. And I mean, no better time than the playoffs, right? No better time. Russell Gage comes back down to earth this week. But balance has to be restored.
But on the flip side, Jalen Waddle, who was actually a drafted player by Raw Dog Supreme, he comes up big, 10 receptions, 92 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Kyle Pitts, another player that he actually drafted. And I kind of I didn't necessarily know what it was going to be like for Kyle Pitts in the season. And Kyle Pitts has done very well on the season. 16 points here. And then you have Michael Carter, who's came back from injury, 14 points on this day. This is his second week back from injury here. Raw Dog Supreme didn't get a lot from any of his players, but he got enough to win this day. And I think it's astounding seeing how anytime that you say, well, the quarterback on one of these teams got 36 points and then a receiver got 26 points, you would assume that team won. But no, and you are at the very least, you would assume that they scored more than 100 points. And somehow that wasn't the case here.
Well, those two players, they accounted for 62% of the point total, Mark. And then somehow nobody else decided to show up. You know how that is when you go to work sometimes. And then you're one of those people, and you and some other dude is doing all the work. And then you look around like maybe these guys are going to help me because they see how hard I'm working. And they just look at you like, well, shit, if they're doing everything, I'm just going to sit here. I feel like that's what happened today. I mean, that's what happened this week, Mark. That's what happened.
Well, it certainly looks like it. Raw Dog Supreme takes the victory. Let's look at the bench, see if anything changed their fate. Woo! Raw Dog Supreme left some points on the bench. Well, one of them is a quarterback, so that doesn't really count there. But he had Everett, the tight end, on the bench, but you're not starting him over Kyle Pitts here. So it is what it is. Rashard Bateman decided to come alive a little bit. He got his first receiving touchdown this week. This is his first one on the season, and he got it in week 16. And on the other side, Alan Lazard gave you 13 points, but he was on your bench. A Kansas City defense who was going up against the hapless Pittsburgh Steelers, and they were on your bench. That's inexcusable benching right there. But okay.
I'll be real honest with you. I did not do any preparation for Sunday The only preparation I did was before Thursday was even played. I made sure that St. Brown and Russell Gage were in my lineup. And so just to put that out there, I had Russell Gage and St. Brown in my lineup before Mike Williams was listed as being out with COVID. So yeah, this is my fault. I just didn't take a look at the lineup and set it. So
yeah,
it is what it is. That's definitely, but I will say that was definitely a mistake. Anybody could see Kansas City Chiefs defense playing the way they've been playing, which is why I picked them up. Versus Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. That was a recipe for success with the Kansas City defense, and I definitely dropped the ball on that one.
You. All right. Lastly, we're going to get into the last matchup here. Corey's championship team takes the L to Reese's Buttercup team, 86.50 points, 9 to 94.62. Corey's championship team had to go with Kirk Cousins this week. Kirk gives him 16.80 points.
Doing what Kirk Cousins does.
Exactly. Essentially. Justin Jefferson gets 8 receptions, 116 yards. That boy's going to be nice for years to come. The only thing that's truly holding him back is Kirk Cousins in the red zone.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Mark. Like, at what point do you say, you know what? If I'm going to go with a quarterback wide receiver combo, I'm taking Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson.
Never.
At what point is Kirk Cousins part of your quarterback wide receiver combo?
Never.
I'm trying to figure that out. But you know what? I'm going to let Corey live.
Well, the reason why is because his actual quarterback is hurt, Lamar Jackson. So.
And I understand that, Mark, but this is also why people carry backup QBs throughout the entirety of the season, Mark. And I'm just saying, if I was carrying a backup QB...
Quietly, Kirk Cousins has had one of the better seasons of any quarterback in fantasy football. Like he's had dud games. He's had Kirk Cousins games for sure, but he's had some games where it was just like, whoa, this dude is performing. So
that is true, Mark. But let's be honest.
He was good for a backup. Like he could get you something or he could not.
I'm gonna be real with you. When it comes to fantasy football and when it comes to real life football, there's one thing that you can always count on with Kirk Cousins. When you fucking need him, he's not gonna show up, Mark. Let's just be real. That's just the truth, man. In real life and in fantasy football, when you need him to come through, he's not going to show up. That's just what it is, man. That's why I wouldn't have him. I don't care how great of a season he's having. I'm not going to have him on my team.
Okay. On the other side of the ball here, we have Patrick Mahomes get 27 points here. And the only thing of note for Reese's Buttercup team is Devin Singletary, who had 5 receptions, 39 yards, 39 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. And then you have Green Bay's defense, who had 4 interceptions with 5 sacks against Cleveland. I want to just point out here. Actually, I don't. I'm just going to say for another day.
I was going to say, you can't ask for more from Devin Singletary.
No, you can't. But what I do see here is that she has Harris. She traded for Harris, and he's on her bench. Granted,
she started him more than once.
Yeah, she has. But
okay.
But Harris went up against Buffalo, and I guess you were assuming Buffalo to be the scary Buffalo defense that everybody has heard about and are the scary Buffalo defense that they're supposed to be. But as someone that has traded for Buffalo's defense and they have not been what he's traded for.
Since the trade,
I'm going to tell you that they have not been scary since week 4 or 5. They they have not been that defense at all.
Well, what I'll also tell you is that this is a division game, rivalry game, and the one thing that you cannot look past is the Patriots playing a division rival and having some type of success. They're going to this is the second meeting, so you already know that maybe they were going to have a little bit more success. I mean, let's really be honest. They got blown out. They got beat down. Okay, but with that said, Harris still had a good day, you know. But I mean, Patriots are going to stay true to what they do, and if I was going to start Harris versus a division rival, it would be any division rival on the second meeting. So.
Right.
Devin Singletary wouldn't have been in my lineup though. See, that's where I would have made a mistake. I wouldn't have been started Harris and Devin Singletary in the same week.
Okay. Now let's get into the championship lineup. Let's see who we think is going to take this victory. Lombardius Prime versus Big Trust. Ladies and gentlemen, we already had an outlier early on. Lombardius Prime actually has a full lineup set up prior to game day. This may very well be his albatross and the thing that makes him lose, because he has gone away from tradition. The little thing, it's all about the little things. The little things that you do. And this is something that I've pointed out that he does every week. And he's done it in every league that I've been in with him. He's done it every season. And this week, in the most important game, he actually has a full lineup set prior to Thursday.
Well, Mark, let me just throw this out there. I know you've seen the clip. Of Prince Nassim, the boxer, trying to do his traditional flip into the ring.
Yeah, and then he didn't flip into the ring.
He didn't flip into the ring, and then he got his ass whooped. I know you've seen that, man.
Yes.
People think these things don't matter, but they do. Look, call me superstitious. Call me what you want, Mark. If it's working for you, do not change it up. You don't even know which part of it is working for you, so you don't change anything up, right?
Right.
Now, and with that said,
and about the Prince Nassim thing, I know exactly when that was, because that was the one where he had the bottle thrown at him, and so like when he went to do it, his hand slipped because it was wet, and so he didn't flip.
Yep, and he looked. I mean, there was like a half a second where he paused and he looked, and he was trying to decide if he was going to flip or not.
Yeah,
and he chose not to. And I know he probably thinks about that moment every time he thinks about that loss. But with that said, you say albatross. Maybe this is his swan song, Mark. Maybe this is his preemptive standing ovation. I don't know what he's doing here. But he seems to be extremely confident walking into this matchup, Mark. I'm hoping for a tie, Mark. But I told you what I think is going to happen. I'm not going to doubt the fantasy gods. They've been kind to me all year. I shouldn't even been in the playoffs. And I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't like ugly, man. I'm telling you right now, Big Trust is going to get whooped. I'm just saying that now. All right, but let's get into the analysis. But I'm just gonna say, you say albatross, I say swan song, Mark.
All right, let's get into the matchups and see if this is a possibility of Big Trust getting whooped, or has Lombardius Prime changed the thing that works, and this may be very well spell his doom. But right away, Justin Herbert, who needs a big win, goes up against Denver. Denver's defense hasn't been much, and Justin Herbert seemingly has a bit to prove as of late. So
let me step in and say something about that real quick because I have to. The Chargers, Mark, they've been looking more like the same old Chargers as the season goes on, right? Mm-hmm. And what are the Chargers known for? Losing games that they should win that might put them in playoff contention, Mark. I just have a bad feeling about this game versus Denver and Justin Herbert's performance. I'm just going to throw that out there.
All right. So because this is the championship game, we're just going to go side for side here. Tom Brady goes up against the New York Jets. The New York Jets is not a pushover defense, but they're not a defense to be feared either. And in this matchup, you have Tom Brady going up against the Jets here. Mind you, all Tom Brady has is Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. And in the last 2 weeks, Tom Brady has not broke 20 points. So that should let you know what to expect here, because they went up against Carolina and he only got 16. They went up against the Saints and he got 2. So,
well, the Saints always seem to have his number. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But I will say this: this is just one of those games where they don't have the players. Tom Brady may be a little bit embarrassed about his numbers from last game, and they absolutely
the last 2 games.
The last 2 games, but yes, more so the first game out of the last 2. But with that said, I just feel like he wants to put out a good showing on this one. So I feel like the Jets are going to end up being this punching bag.
Well, for Tobias' sake, I certainly hope so for his sake. CeeDee Lamb, who has been the best receiver on Dallas receiving core this season, goes up against Arizona, who is seemingly reeling right now. And Arizona is in a spiral, and they are going the wrong direction right now. So, and meanwhile, Dallas is trending upwards. That Dallas defense seems to be giving more opportunities to the offense. So this could be very helpful for CeeDee Lamb to get some points here this week. I don't think CeeDee Lamb has had a game where he's broke 30 points.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't
even broke. Oh, he broke 21. No, he had one game where he broke 30, one game where he broke 20. So he had 2 games where he actually broke above the 10 mark.
Well, this is what I'll say.
Above 20, I should say.
Yeah. He's been pretty consistent, but this is what I'll say, man. I just look at the matchup. The matchup is Arizona. Arizona's DBs, I thought, were at some time this season playing above what I thought they were capable of, and then I just kind of believed it. Well, they've come back down to earth. You know, the Detroit Lions receivers dog walked the Cardinals DBs, and that's what concerns me. What I saw in that game versus Detroit bothers me. So at this point, I'm not concerned with what CeeDee Lamb's production is going to be. I believe he'll be pretty consistent. I think in this particular game, he will have a floor of 15 points. But we'll see if he has that breakout that you're probably looking for if you're Levarticus Prime.
Yeah, and is due for, honestly. He just hasn't happened in a very long time. On the other side, T. Higgins for Cincinnati, who is riding a high wave, who just gave his best performance of his career, is now going up against the Kansas City defense, who are on a major uptrend, and they have found their stride this season. I have rightfully predicted much of what is going on with Kansas City this season, as far as them being on a roller coaster and going down, but they will be trending back up towards the end of the season. But one thing that I didn't see coming is that this defense would be as good as it is now. And the way they're playing now, they are definitely the favorite for the Super Bowl. So it's kind of this has all the writing on the wall for T. Higgins to have a reversal game.
Yeah, to balance will be restored in this game, Mark, I believe. Not just because they're playing Kansas City, but I'm gonna be real. Like because this kind of works in a strange way. You have Jamar Chase on your team, and right when it doesn't matter and mean anything, this will be one of those games where the only receiver on the team that eats is Jamar Chase. I just feel like that's the way. You've been the football gods' punching bag this year, and I just feel like it's going to continue this week. No science behind it at all, but
and on next up, Darnell Mooney goes up against the New York Giants. Now, this could be a good matchup here for a big trust, but even though it could be a big matchup, at most this could be like 19 points because this is Darnell Mooney and it is the Chicago Bears. So at most, we're looking at 19-point game from Darnell Mooney. What's your feelings?
I like the chemistry that I saw between him and Nick Foles. Is Nick Foles going to be starting this week, or is it going to be Fields? It doesn't really matter, Mark, because both of them seem to have their own separate set of chemistry with them. Mm-hmm. But I feel like his ceiling is going to be slightly lower with Fields. I would say I agree with your 19-point ceiling if Foles is playing, and I think his ceiling will be about 15 with Fields playing. So I feel like it's a decent matchup, but it's not going to be enough.
Right. On the flip side of that, though, Deebo Samuel is going up against Houston. Houston has been playing admirably, but they are still not good, especially on defense. And when it comes to Deebo Samuel has been eating all season long. Now, the only issue here is that was with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not starting this game. Jimmy Garoppolo will not be available for the rest of the season. So, will tendencies change and Deebo Samuel not be the star of the show? Or will things continue? We don't know. Like, that's a little up in the air. But one thing we do know is that Deebo Samuel production on the season has been very high.
Yeah, as a Niner fan on this panel, I would say this, that the few times that Trey Lance has started, he has leaned on Deebo Samuel, not in the same way that Garoppolo has leaned on him, but he leans on him in a way of, hey, when I'm in a pinch, it's third down, I have to throw it. He's going to throw it to Deebo Samuel. So Deebo Samuel is still going to see volume, but I do not think he's going to see the level of volume that he was seeing with Garoppolo, where he's getting 15 targets in 6 carries or whatever the hell he's getting for the game. So I don't see his volume being that high, but I mean, we'll find out exactly what type of coach Kyle Shanahan is, because if Kyle Shanahan is smart, he will be dialing up plays for Deebo Samuel all day.
All right. Austin Eckler back from injury, going up against Denver here. I'm going to say Austin Eckler gets around 20 to 25. What say you?
He eats regardless of the situation.
Exactly.
I'm going to agree with you 25.
All right. So there's not much to say when it comes to that particular matchup. Saquon Barkley goes up against Chicago's defense. We already know how I feel about Saquon on the season. I've just discussed it. But this is Chicago's defense. Chicago, like, their defense has been up and down this season. Which version of their defense is going to show up this week? We don't know.
I believe they're going to show up, and I believe that Saquon doesn't have a chance for a good week this week. The way I see this happening is this is one of the few games that Chicago has had on their schedule where they have the ability to go up by possibly 2 touchdowns early on in the game, considering who's quarterbacking for the New York Giants. And in that scenario, that is going to kind of mitigate what Saquon Barkley is going to be able to do on the ground. And if they can't pass, really, and then they have time to focus on the run, it doesn't really matter anyway. They're going to be playing from behind, and Saquon Barkley is probably not going to see more than 12 to 13 carries in this game. And I don't think Mike Glennon is a good enough quarterback to give him the type of touches that he would need to see in the passing game for him to have a good day. I just don't see Barkley doing anything.
Right. All right. So, yeah, 9-point ceiling for Saquon Barkley, and that's being generous. Being generous. Moving on, Aaron Jones. Going up against Minnesota. This is a must-win. Despite Green Bay having the number 1 seed in the NFC, this is a must-win for them to maintain their bye week. And this is a divisional game, so I expect Aaron Rodgers to be trying to light Minnesota the fuck up. And so I do not see a lot of Aaron Jones happening in this game unless Aaron Rodgers is doing checkdowns. So
let's just call it what it is. Aaron Jones really hasn't been the Aaron Jones of last year.
No,
you can, especially
AJ Dillon has been eating into what he.
They have worked AJ Dillon completely into a 50-50, what seems to be a 50-50 timeshare. So
the last 3 weeks for Aaron Jones, 21, 15, 13. And the 3 weeks prior to that was 5, 12, and 2.
Well, he's been getting touchdowns. He's been, and I'll say this, he's been touchdown dependent. And that's what I don't like about the Aaron Jones situation. And even when you say 15 and stuff like that with Aaron Jones, in some of these games, you're not expecting 15 from Aaron Jones. You're expecting 20. So yes, although those are admirable scores, but I feel like for Aaron Jones, those are still a little bit less than what you expect from him. You expect him to go crazy on the ground and get you 5 catches through the air and possibly a touchdown. And that's not the level of production that you're getting from Aaron Jones right now.
Right. All right. So looking at Labarticus Prime, he is starting Rashad Penny. He is rewarding him for getting all those points on the bench, and they're going up against Detroit. I like this start. Rashad, like we both said, Rashad Penny looks healthy. He actually looked pretty good in this last matchup.
That's looking running back that the Seattle Seahawks have started all season long.
Right. So, yeah, not much to be said there. So,
I mean, that's not really a great compliment, but
no, it's not. But not much to be said there. I expect 15 or more from Rashad Penny in this.
The fact that we are expecting close to the same point total between Rashad Penny and Aaron Jones is exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. So, and then in the tight end matchup, you have Schultz, who for Dallas, who has been performing all season long. He has been a nice security blanket for Dak Prescott. So I expect that to continue. It's not much else to say there. Although it's not for me. What about you?
I like Schultz, but I mean, if you really look across from him, I think that name says Mark Andrews. I don't think in any given week, especially considering the circumstances that the Ravens are facing right now, that Schultz is going to be able to match the output of one Mark Andrews. Ravens are in desperation mode right now, Mark. They went from leading the division and leading the conference to now they're really just trying to keep their head above water and make sure that they make it into the playoffs. So that level of desperation going on with them, I just expect, and it seems like it doesn't matter what quarterback they put back there, they are leaning on Mark Andrews heavily. And I expect Mark Andrews to give you another 20 to 25 point performance. And I don't think Dalton Schultz is up to the task to put out that much.
Yeah, no. Now listen. Let's look at Schultz season scores, because Schultz just this in the last 2 weeks in which he's gone against, probably his easiest matchups was 20-22. And then
that's his peak.
Yeah, that's his peak. Well, his peak performance on the season is 26. But yes, this is right around his peak of 20 and 22. But 2 matchups in a row, he did it, going up against lesser opponents. And actually, all 3 times he did it, it was against lesser opponents. So this week he has Arizona, and we just talked about Arizona being on a downward spiral. So there is a chance that he gets around this number.
Yeah. There's a chance. There's a chance. I have not liked Arizona's defense in the passing game these past couple weeks. So, but I mean, that's a tough ask to try to get.
Now, on the flip side, though, if I am Tobias, I hate to say this because I really do like Lamar Jackson, but if I'm Tobias, I am praying Lamar Jackson does not play. I am praying to God Lamar Jackson does not play, because Mark Andrews has been phenomenal since Tyler Huntley has taken over. Since there has been no Lamar Jackson, look at this.
And Josh Jackson,
25-26.
And I was just going to say, Josh Jackson came in for Huntley.
Yeah.
Last game. It's just like I said, these backups.
It hasn't stopped.
Yeah. And you're right, Mark. And it's got to be a dilemma for Tobias, considering that he's a Ravens fan. Right. So, like, that shit has to be eating him alive. You know what I mean? Because you know what that means, Mark. He will have to be hoping for the same thing that Lamar White is hoping for. You know, so I know that shit got to eat him alive, you know. But either way, for fantasy purposes, for the bread, if I'm Tobias, I'm hoping that Lamar Jackson is not playing.
Yeah, but even if that was the case, it's the Rams. They're going up against the Rams this week. Mark Andrews has been phenomenal, but do I see him scoring 30 this week, which is probably the type of performance that Big Trust would like and need in this matchup? No. I'm going to put Mark Andrews at a ceiling of 20.
I'll be honest. If there's one place that they are weak at, it would be over the middle.
It is. That is true. That is very true. Like
But you do have to sustain drives, Mark.
But this is
have to sustain drives, and I don't know if you could put in a second string or a third string quarterback and be able to sustain those drives.
Because here's my issue. Even though they are susceptible over the middle, Josh Jackson is not as mobile as Huntley or Lamar Jackson. And I believe that the Rams will be coming after this quarterback if it's Josh Jackson. Well, no matter who it is, they'll be coming after them. But
I believe it's going to be turnover city.
Yeah, I just feel as though it's going to. I think there's going to be a lot of sacks, and Mark Andrews is just not going to get the chance to catch the ball because this quarterback will be under duress.
Well, I'll say but I still believe that Mark Andrews is going to be the only person that gets his numbers this
Like I said, I'm spotting him 20. I'm spotting him 20.
Yeah,
right?
you are. I'll give you that.
I'm just saying he ain't getting 30.
Yeah, you need touchdowns to get 30. I don't know how many touchdowns he'll get.
Right. Now, Devontae Smith is going up against Washington here. I think this is just. I think 15 is a good number. The reason being is because teams know that Devontae Smith is our legit receiver. They know that that's who he is. Like, he is our legit receiver.
Come alive. Yeah.
Like it's not just about him coming alive. It's just that's how teams have played him. Like, they're like, okay, like, we'll try to take him away, but you got to figure it out elsewhere. And they also know that Jalen Hurts isn't the greatest at his progressions. So they generally take away his best receiver and then say, try to find the open guy. So I just feel as though the opportunities won't be as big for Devontae Smith, but it's Washington and they've been terrible. So it is what it is. We could actually just look at what Devontae Smith did the week prior when they played Washington last. And yeah, see, 7 points. He only had five targets. Yeah, like he's only had more than 7 targets 4 times on the season. 8, 7, 10, 9, and 9. So, yeah. So Devontae Smith, it doesn't see a lot of targets in most games. So the opportunities just won't be there as much. So I say 15 is his number.
15, I believe, is his ceiling. But
yeah. Oh, I don't think it's his ceiling because it is Washington. 2 long bombs and he destroys that.
True, but I feel like that ball is, to be honest with you, the ball in Philly is getting spread around.
Yeah. And then next up is Eli Mitchell going up against Houston. That's a decent start there.
That's a great start, Mark. I'll be honest with you. Houston is horrible against the run. I saw that when they played Indy the second time. I saw that just recently when they let Jackson go off. I mean, Jackson was going off in the passing game though, but I'm just saying it just doesn't look like. I don't think Houston has anything for the running game versus the Niners. So yeah, and Elijah Mitchell making his way back and being fully healthy. Yeah, I think this is definitely the only thing. This is like the best way. If the Niners want to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball and keep the Houston offense off the field. And so I don't know. I just believe that Elijah Mitchell is going to, I have to say, probably about 17 points.
Okay. So yeah, that's fair. I don't really have a dog in that one. We're going to skip right over the kickers here because that don't matter much. New England goes up against Jacksonville. New England's defense is New England's defense, and Jacksonville doesn't have a coach right now, and they lost James Robinson for the season. That is an excellent start. New England defense may very well put up another 30-burger in this match.
Yeah, and I already told you how I feel about the Chargers on the other side of this thing. The Chargers will find a way to play themselves out of position. We're getting down to the last 2 games of the season. I 1,000% foresee somehow, some way, the Chargers defense not doing a damn thing. And, this could be anywhere between 5 points to a negative number. I don't know. But I don't feel good about the Chargers versus Denver, a division rival.
Big Trust needs to find another defense.
I don't like that game.
Like that's just fact. See, like even if you don't have a problem with it, there's still better defenses out there. I feel as though there's better defenses with better matchups out there.
Yeah, I just watched Houston put up 45 on them. I'm not sure if 45 is the exact number, but yeah, they put a 40 plus on the Chargers this past week, and yeah, that'll make me feel good, even though it's Denver. It still doesn't make me feel good going into that matchup.
Right. All right, so let's look at the bench. Oh wow! So Mike Evans, who has a hamstring injury already, now also has COVID. He has gotten AIDS, as one would say. So there is practically no chance that he will be getting Mike Evans this week to be able to start. And James Conner is still showing questionable. Let's look at the what they got here. James Conner. Okay, this was the last bit of news was in week 7. Yeah, was on Saturday. So we don't have any updated news for James Conner besides that he missed the last week. But with Chase Edmonds back, he will likely split work, and that takes away some of the shine that was on him as of late. So yeah. So with that being said, who you got in this one?
I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm gonna be honest with myself, Mark. I honestly think Labarticus Prime is gonna win this game. But I'll still put it out there what I hope for. I'm hoping for a tie, Mark. I don't give a fuck what I think. I don't give a fuck what I believe is going to happen. Let's mark me down for a tie. Let's mark me down for a tie, Mark.
Okay. I like the matchup say Labarticus Prime is going to win, but like I said, man, it's the little things that count. And trust me, like seeing a full lineup on Labarticus Prime prior to Thursday just feels wrong. So I don't like that. So it is what it is. But very quickly, we're just going to look at the matchups for these other teams, and we're not really going to discuss them because they don't matter. Don't even matter. But fuck the fantasy football gods. Go against Corey's championship team. Fuck the fantasy football gods. I love Cam Newton goes up against Reese's Buttercups. I love Cam Newton. In the Animals versus FTW. I actually have FTW in this one because Brandon Cook should be back, and I think that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I don't see him getting 80 again. But yeah, just so we understand, I agree with your previous 2 picks. Continue.
Right, and that is it. The other ones are completely out of the matchup. Mm-hmm. So there's no more people playing for the next place. All right. So one thing's for certain that we do know going into this week is that Ricky has avoided being the bottom place team. He has defeated We Not From 750. We Not From 750 has gone from first to worst in this league. And what's crazy about that is that he had one of the best positions to draft from. Third, he picked from 3. And not only that, but he picked his spot. Nobody else. Because he was the champion last year, and clearly he is in a hangover because he is the worst team this year, despite having the 3rd draft pick.
You say hangover. This shit must be a 151 hangover, Mark. I don't know what's going on.
Nah, man. This is a soju hangover. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's that wine hangover, bro.
like this dude got he has a champagne hangover. Like, he has Like, what is you doing, dog? You was living life too crazy.
You know how like when you get a hangover and shit, like you get to the point where you're just so tired and worn out and your head's hurt. You just go, you try to go back to sleep. You're like, I'm gonna nap it off, and then usually you wake up and you feel a little bit better. This is one of them joints where you take a nap and you wake up and your shit hurts worse than you did before you went to sleep, dog. Like, this is terrible. This is this hangover that you just can't get rid of.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know what's going on, but we not from 750. This was not your year, Bucko. And it all started because you were on CPT time. That's wild.
Let's never forget, Mark. Let's never forget that. You know, it set the tone for the rest of his draft. And I think he's just been off ever since.
Yeah, man. So listen, man, I guess next time what we will do, we will check and we will set our alarm clocks and we will check it twice. And we will make sure that we show up on time for things that we are supposed to show up on time for. But this is, I guess this is probably what, our third to last episode, maybe second to last, for the fantasy football series. So it is what it is, man. Next week we will be celebrating a winner. So hopefully all three of us will be here. And if we could get the winner to actually show up and do an interview, that'd be dope.
Well, see, that's for you, man. I'm hoping that we have two winners, or specifically two losers that show up here in a tie and have to explain themselves why their fucking teams are so bad that they can't even win a fucking championship properly. But that's just me, you know. Maybe I'm going about this wrong, but that's how I feel, Mark.
Well, hey, we're all entitled to our feelings. And I just want to put this out there, man. Even though I don't have a dog in this fight, and I don't wish bad on either team, I don't wish well on either of you neither. Like, I just want to point that out. Like, just know what it is. Like, and I know Tobias is going to talk that shit to me anyway at some point. But hey, you do it. I got something for you. Bro. So regardless, like I say, you better win this week, dog. You better win. But good luck. And I mean that. But that's all we got for this episode, folks. Thank you for joining us. Link, like, subscribe, all that good, juicy, fun stuff like we always say. Peace.
Peace.